$15.80. Stay connected. Stay informed. Stay loud. Stand up!
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Hey, everybody. We're still here. Civilization did not end last night at 8 p.m. as promised by the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and none other than P.L. De Silva on Worldwide with P.L. De Silva and Rear Admiral Norman Hayes, our very special guest. They've got a lot of questions to answer and help guide us through this conversation on why the world did not end last night as promised by Donald John Trump. P.L. De Silva is our regular contributor here on Worldwide with P.L. And P.L. is a scholar, a philosopher, a teacher. He's worked in backroom diplomacy, worked with the State Department and intelligence agencies around the world, and is one of those figures in our global intelligence community that helps connect the world and solve problems that those who are the face of politics cannot solve. I'm particularly honored that P.L. De Silva, international scholar practitioner in global affairs, diplomacy, media, peace building, and human security, with over 40 years of experiential knowledge and expertise in backroom negotiations in deeply divided society, is our regular contributor. P.L., welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you so much, Jesse. We have so much to talk about.
P.L., just before I bring the Rear Admiral on, P.L., we're both here. The world did not end last night. Let me give you an opportunity to take the first shot at that just before I bring our very special guest on.
Right. So, in my humble opinion, I think President Trump was looking for an off-ramp, and the countries in the Gulf were also desperate not to have an explosion, and therefore they impressed upon the Pakistanis to, get a rabbit out of a hat. And they just managed to do so just before, but it was never done in good faith. And you can already see the so-called ceasefire is falling apart, with the Israelis launching a very, very heavy bombing attack in Lebanon, all parts of Lebanon, places they haven't bombed before, including the Corniche, which is a kind of a westernized part of Beirut. And of course, the Iranians being attacked, and the Iranians attacking back. They've just attacked Tel Aviv, and the UAE and other countries, in resisting this war of aggression that the Israelis and the Americans have waged against the Iranian people and their civilization, if we are to believe President Trump.
Peel, just to get some clarity, the ceasefire, therefore, is between the United States, or the temporary ceasefire, however long it lasts, for 2 weeks, supposedly, is between the United States and Iran. It is not between other warring parties or neighboring countries, including Israel and Iran, including the activity that's taking place in Lebanon, Iran reserving the right, I assume, to continue its campaign in other Arab countries who are allied with the United States. They are not part of the so-called peace agreement that Donald Trump negotiated, correct?
Well, the peace agreement was to a cessation of hostilities, of warring. That includes Israeli aggression in Lebanon. And of course, I would like to add, what they're doing in Gaza, the West Bank, in Syria, all of those places. So the fact of the matter is that it's now fallen apart because the president's very intelligent press secretary has just said, we are tearing it up, the 10 points from Iran. And she just said it.
Rear Admiral Norman Hayes is our very special guest, who assumed the position as the Director of Intelligence, United States European Command, Germany, in January of 2010. He had responsibility for all theater intelligence systems, plans, policy, and contingency intelligence activities of U.S. forces in the European theater. A graduate of Indiana University, he initially worked in the private sector for 5 years before being commissioned in August of 1982 as a naval intelligence officer. Rear Admiral Hayes, a man of honor, a man of great distinction. Rear Admiral Hayes, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you for having me today. We've got a lot to talk about.
Rear Admiral, we just have about 2.5, maybe 3 minutes before we come forward, which is, of course, our break on the show. Can you share with us your perspective, that which you can share with us from your perspective on what we're looking at and what the reality is on the ground in this particular theater?
Well, this is a situation in which the United States and Israel both have not placed themselves in the best possible position. Anytime we come to cessation, whenever that will be, and everybody starts looking at how this whole situation began and what the future outcomes will be, will point a big finger at the United States and at Israel. And that really is the basis of where we are going to go forward from this point on. Israel is not going to be in a good place. They feel like they are, but they aren't. The United States will have lost all credibility with the rest of the world. And whoever comes in, doesn't make any difference whether it's a Republican or a Democrat that comes in after this administration, is going to have a really big broom to sweep up the mess that is going to be left by the Trump bizarro world.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We have two prominent scholars, but also practitioners in the area of intelligence who have knowledge of what is taking place in the Middle East. When we come forward, I do have a question for them. The President of the United States put a particular demand on opening the Strait of Hormuz. And in light of what we have already heard from P.L. Da Silva and Rear Admiral Hayes, I'm wondering if the strait is opened or if the deal that was announced last night is now off the table. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-345-2789. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems. And if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-345-2789. That's 800-345-2789 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-345-2789.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be 1,000,000 miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being 1,000,000 miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Can we just talk? You've heard me say it before, how we talk to one another matters. Earlier this year, we launched our first cohort, and I'm grateful to those who leaned in early and helped to shape the work. Now I'm inviting you to join me for a new live seminar, The Practice of Dialogue, Becoming a More Effective Communicator. This is a small group experience designed to help you strengthen how you communicate in your work, your relationships, and your everyday life. Space is limited to keep the experience personal and interactive. So if you're ready to take your communication to the next level, now is the time to focus on the skills that make conversations meaningful. The new 4-week cohort begins Monday, May 4th, and there's a nice discount for early bird registrants. Visit TavishTalks.com to learn more and reserve your place today. That's TavishTalks.com, because better conversations don't just happen, we practice them.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the beat. KBLA Talk 1580. Download that.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580. Civilization, as Donald Trump promised, did not end for the Iranian people last night at 8 p.m. In fact, the government shared with us that a peace deal or some kind of ceasefire, some kind of temporary ceasefire had been entered into, negotiated by the Pakistanis. The last time Rear Admiral Norman Hayes was on our program, he talked about 3 T's and the MELs. And the MELs included moral, ethical leadership, or moral, ethical, and legal leadership. Rear Admiral Hayes, please process what we are looking at through the 3 T's and the MELs that have so guided your career.
Well, I think one of the most important things is when you're put into a position of leadership, wherever it may be. I don't care if you're trying to lead a team at McDonald's. If you don't have any solid base of what good leadership principles are, good personal principles are, then you're not going to be successful. I'm just going to tell you right now. Because if they're supposed to be looking at you to be able to understand and know and to grow, then you have to have already established some level of baseline results that you want to have. And those baseline results have to be built upon something that is solid. So when I came to the acknowledgement of that during my time in the Navy, I realized it was important to be able to actually put in writing, in indelible ink, those things of how you were going to act, how you were going to treat others, how your decision-making process was going to go. and then how then to bring everyone together in a team to be able to move forward. One of those things that may not be in that males and the 3 T's is vision. And you have to have a vision, the vision that you've put forth so far here, Jesse, in terms of this podcast and bringing this information out to others. If you don't have a vision, if you don't know where you want to go, then you have nothing. And I think that's really the basis of how I came to that and the importance of it. We don't build leaders anymore, just tell you up front. And we have to learn again how to build leaders, because leaders aren't born. Nobody is born saying, hey, I'm a leader. They have to learn, understand, be taught. They have to be nurtured, just like you would nurture a child up to saying, hey, now you have a responsibility and you need to work on that responsibility for the rest of your life. That's the same thing if you want to be a good leader. If you want to be a great leader, you're always going to be tired, because it's about everything that you want to do for others, not what you're trying to do for yourself.
Rear Admiral, have our leaders been truthful, trustworthy, and transparent in the process that began this conflict? And the mission also appears, at least from my perspective, to be creeping. It changes every single day.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be the very off-ramp that PL De Silva shared with us that they were looking for in this one instance. But the 3 T's and the MELs, moral, ethical, legal, or moral, ethical leadership, seems to be something that's clearly absent in terms of honesty and integrity with the American people.
Oh, absolutely so. The way you move forward and the way you're going to be judged in the future is how you represented yourself, how you represented your organization, how you represented your country. And that means that you have to tell the truth, even when it's painful. You have to go forward and you have to present something that everyone can understand. When you have conflicting, people in a organization or an administration talking, and they don't speak with one voice, and then that voice being authoritarian in terms of an authoritarian meaning that, hey, I am the author of it and I hold to this. So that is that piece that you want to be able to have. But in every instance, you have to tell the truth. Now, understand this. This is an important aspect. If you don't say anything about something, all right, and no one ever asks the question, and you don't want to really talk about it, you can do that. But if someone asks the question, you better have an answer ready for them, an answer in which is going to be believable, an answer in which you are not putting yourself or that answer in jeopardy of being found out to be a falsehood. You can't do that. That is not part of the way we do business in this country, especially the government. So tell the truth. And this since day one, this particular administration has not told them the truth on anything. And I mean anything. And the people that are in this administration are not looking out for the United States. They are looking out for themselves, individuals. I want this. I'm going to get this out of the government. I'm going to get this out of this job. And that is only going to lead to ruin. And like I said, the mess that has to be cleaned up after this administration leaves is going to be extraordinarily painful on the government itself, and it's going to be equally painful on the people of this country.
PL, I agree with the Rear Admiral that truthfulness has been lacking, transparency has been lacking, and transparency, truth, all the T's are missing, and so are the MELs here. Is there a way out for the United States in light of what we've heard and seen other than the midterms?
We need regime change in this country. The Trump administration simply cannot be allowed to continue to destroy this country. They're destroying this country from within and also destroying our alliances across the Atlantic. It's just absolutely terrible. And we are letting down people who have depended on us, like the countries in the Gulf, and we are just batting just only for one country, and that is Israel. And their absurd dream of Eretz Israel, which is Greater Israel, which is the root cause of this whole problem. So Netanyahu and his gang of far-right Zionists are the problem. They have dragged the United States into an unwinnable war with a country that is fighting a 21st century war using, missile domination over Israel and US bases and drones, sophisticated drone program, while the United States and Israel is fighting a 20th century World War II type war. And there's such a great mismatch. And there's no way that the United States, which does not have a plan, is ever going to succeed on the battlefield, while the Iranians have a sophisticated plan. They have thought about this for more than 20 years, very deeply, and they're sticking to their strategy, and they are turning the screw inch by inch on the Israelis and on the United States forces on the ground, as well as countries that are hosting US bases. So this is a huge problem. And I don't think that the Trump administration has the wherewithal or the wit to understand what's happening. And that means that they have, in principle, lost the plot.
PL, the President of the United States had one central demand that led to a very grotesque tweet during the Easter season and on Easter Day. I'm wondering if this ceasefire has resolved his chiefest concern, that the Hormuz Strait be opened immediately. Has that happened, or has it not happened?
You see, before he started this quixotic, tilting at windmills kind of, campaign, the Strait of Hormuz was open. There was no issue, right? And then even after the conflict, countries that were not allied to the United States or Israel were allowed to, traverse not the main channel, but a side channel by Qasem Island. And they were paying a toll to the Iranians, either in yuan or through a cryptocurrency called Tron. And Tron apparently takes 3 seconds. And once confirmation is given, the vessels are allowed to traverse the Hormuz. And remember, trying to send the Navy to a very inhospitable Strait of Hormuz is totally idiotic. You'll get all your vessels sunk. It takes you about 2 hours and 49 minutes if you're going at 17 knots. And it's sheer cliffs on each side, right? On the Iranian side. And there's no way. And it's peppered with caves, with missiles, with artillery, with drones, underwater drones. There are like 29 mini subs. I mean, it's not possible. And this is why the European countries wisely said they're not going to be dragged into this war. That's what Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, said. We are not going to be dragged into this war.
PL, I also I took an interesting position yesterday when I saw the Iranian people willing to offer their lives as human shields on the bridges and the power plants. And in that moment, I said to myself that prior to Donald Trump's quixotic engagement in Iran, there was no Iranian Lives Matter movement. One of the reasons the President of the United States might very well have balked is the idea that nonviolence won last night, where the people themselves were willing to risk their lives, even though they may not be supportive of the Iranian regime and its brutality and its history of brutality. They themselves took a stand against any idea that civilian infrastructure and the removal of their power and their basic way of life was the United States and Israel going too far. Do you share that assessment that nonviolence also was responsible for what even we perceive as to be a ceasefire?
I think we have misunderstood the Iranian people. Even the ones that don't like the theocracy, they are deeply patriotic. And one thing that I have found dealing with Iranians over the years is they are extremely anti-imperialist. If you try to come and shove something down their throats by brute force, they will all coalesce together and fight you. And that's what's happening.
General, your assessment as well? Admiral,
Well,
I'm sorry.
Not a problem. I'm a general admiral. So what PS is talking about is absolutely correct. What we've done and the problems that we've had, because this is a bigger problem for the United States, is that we assume that other societies are like our society. We assume that others' history is like our history. And so by doing that, we do not at the right level understand the country and their society and their culture. And yeah, this is one of those things where we said, hey, you're gonna go and attack Iran. You're gonna drop some bombs because you're not gonna put troops on the ground. All right, that's just not gonna play, because a lot of people will die. And I mean not only Iranians, but US. It's just not a feasible activity. And I'm sure that he already had gotten that information from the Army and from the Navy and from the Air Force and from the Marine Corps. They all told the president that, don't go and do this unless you know what you want to achieve. All right. And it's not for the military to say what they achieve. It is for the president and his staff, the civilians, say what they want to achieve. Anybody know that? Anybody get that? It is only the civilians that talk about that in the government. The military provides a assistance, hey, did you think about this? Hey, that won't work because we don't have enough bombs. That's the kind of conversation that goes on. And until the president says, hey, can you guys put a plan together that will accomplish this? They'll tell him, hey, we'll put a plan together that has the possibility of accomplishing that. All right. But we don't know for sure because you're reaching. And that could cause lots of death and destruction. And yes, you talk about death and destruction because you want to minimize it to the greatest degree possible. And what the government currently is doing, this administration is doing, is not anything like you would want to be able to execute any kind of real plan, because it appears to me there was no plan.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More with P.L. De Silva and Rear Admiral Norman Hayes when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Rapper Offset remains hospitalized in Florida after being shot at a casino, but is in stable condition and expected to recover. Police arrested 2 people, including rapper Lil TJ, who has since bonded out and is facing charges unrelated to the shooting.
Did I shoot? Oops, it's crazy.
The incident comes less than 4 years after Offset's Migos bandmate Takeoff was killed in a shooting in Houston. Black Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass says her focus for LAPD has shifted from growth to simply maintaining staffing levels. The department is at a 23-year low, and with budget constraints, she now aims to stop further declines while continuing recruitment efforts. And tickets for the Obama Presidential Center in Chicago go on sale May 6th ahead of its June 19th opening. Admission starts at $30 for adults with discounted pricing for children. The Obama Foundation is a nonprofit collaborator of the Black Information Network. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers are now 0-3 without Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. LeBron also did not play Tuesday night against Oklahoma City. He's got a sore foot. The absence of the Lakers' big three set up an easy win for OKC at Crypto.com, 123-87. A game like this, without LeBron, Doncic, and Reeves, should raise concerns among Lakers fans about the overall talent on the Lakers roster. The Clippers beat Dallas last night, 116-103, 34 points for Kawhi Leonard. UConn women's basketball coach Gino Auriemma finally made a direct apology to South Carolina coach Dawn Staley. Auriemma called Staley late Tuesday afternoon to apologize for starting a heated confrontation between the two coaches after Friday's Final Four game in Phoenix. Auriemma released a generic apology on Saturday, but did not mention Staley's name in his statement. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, aka the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. Their max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return,
But I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though. I'm freaking out. Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Paid for by government. The 1986 to 2021 United States Silver Eagle, the first ever U.S. silver dollar minted in 99.9% pure silver and is the best-selling coin in the world. These original and historic silver dollars have ceased production forever. They will never be minted again. For a limited time only, full pound bags of original U.S. government-struck silver dollars are being released to the public. You can own a full pound of original U.S. silver dollar coins featuring Lady Liberty and the heraldic eagle, never to be struck again. Guaranteed. Call now to secure original United States Silver Eagles by the pound. The first U.S. silver dollars ever to be struck in 99.9% pure silver. Plus, receive a free bonus, an American Collector's Pack valued at over $40 and free shipping with every order. Call 1-800-560-6468 now to secure your full pound bag of United States Silver Eagle coins before they are gone. That's 1-800-560-6468.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Junior Show. King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. In the next hour, Reverend Dr. Todd Yeary will be joining us with the politics of our faith, as well as two very interesting individuals I had the great privilege of meeting earlier today on Legislative Day at the North Carolina State Capitol. Patrick Curry and Marcus Bass will be joining us to talk about the Leandro decision, as well as the Divine Nine's lobbying efforts here in the state of North Carolina, which should be a model for how our organizations lobby legislative bodies across the country. More on that in the next hour. But I do want to reintroduce our guest. P.L. De Silva has been a regular contributor here on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and he hosts worldwide. His resume, too long to mention, but you've heard it as a regular listener on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. His knowledge and history of these matters matters to our interpretation. And our very special guest, Rear Admiral Norman Hayes, who assumed the position as the Director of Intelligence of the United States European Command in Germany in January of 2010. He had the responsibility for all theater intelligence systems, plans, policy, and contingency intelligence activities of the United States forces in the European theater. And that brings me to my next question. Rear Admiral, why have the Europeans balked at entering this conflict with Donald Trump? And I'm very eager to hear your perspective on the hard work that goes on behind the scenes to build the kinds of coalitions, the coalitions of the willing, who see their mutual interests in these conflicts, both including lives and treasury, and the investments to engage in these conflicts, and they make the distinction themselves between what is foolhardy and what is the truth. Rear Admiral, time.
No, this is a really interesting question. I'm going to get through this as quickly as I possibly can, but it's not something that is straightforward, and it's 2 sentences long. The idea of convincing another nation to go and do something as hard as attack with ground troops or air troops or naval forces another nation is more difficult than you can imagine. If you haven't set the groundwork for that for years and years and years and for decades, then boy, it's nobody's going to go if they don't see it in their own personal interest. Everything and every decision that a country makes is about their country, right? It's not they're altruistic and they run out there, because most countries aren't like the United States. They don't have the money. They don't have the treasure to be able to do what America has done. And so in that case, they are very skeptical going in to say, yeah, I'm going to go with you. Because when you do that, you're all in. You've said it. You've put your country on the line along with someone else. And you have to have built a very good relationship, short and long term. That's one part that helps. But the part that PL and I were discussing earlier today is, if you aren't the kind of individual that can be able to talk with, to understand how hard this decision is, and to ask someone to come with you, and then what are you going to give in return? Because it's always quid pro quo. I don't care how many different ways you do it, how many ways you cut it, it's quid pro quo. Hey, UK, come and go with us. UK says, I think we can do that. Hey, we've been talking about this thing about us, our military is working closer together and we're getting some special material. We can make that happen if you go with us. I'm not kidding. That is how these things work. To be able to have someone say, I'm going to take my treasure to help you with your problem. And so the situation that we see here today is that there was no problem in the Middle East. Okay? And the United States and Israel said, hey, let's make a problem. Let's go and bomb Iran. And then Israel says, let's go bomb everybody. All right. Literally. Right. As part of that, to expand that war. That is ridiculous because neither of those efforts have an end point. Israel's not going to invade Lebanon and try to take it over. So they're going to be bombing forever because Lebanon at some point in time is going to take, revenge on the Israelis for what they've done, which will then cause it to spiral again. The situation with the Palestinians is not done, all right? Because the Palestinians at some point in time in the future will take revenge against the Israelis. And the same thing for Iran. So this is a forever war. No kidding. And you never want to get yourself into a forever war. Israel has just done that.
PL, it's hard for me to imagine that given who Secretary Hegseth is not promoting at the Pentagon, the positions that he is holding men and women who have careers in the military and stand next in line to assume the kind of advisory leadership that the Rear Admiral is talking about, that Pete Hegseth or the President of the United States are getting this kind of advice from anyone close to them about building the relationships necessary to conduct the kind of operation that the president thinks is something that he can intervene in for a few weeks and get out and declare victory. PL, what's going on in the White House in terms of how that information is being communicated to the president and to the Secretary of Defense or War?
Before President Trump betrayed the Iranians and joined the Israelis and attacked Iran, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, four-star Air Force General Dan Kane, did inform President Trump, as was his duty, that the United States does not have enough munitions and that the allies would not support an attack on Iran. Trump ignored him, steamrollered over him, and joined Netanyahu in this unlawful, illegal war of aggression against the sovereign UN member state of Iran. And here we are. So nobody is going to follow the United States into this bear trap. I mean, basically, Trump has put his foot in a bear trap. You know what a bear trap is, with big steel claws, and it's clamped on his foot. Either he cuts his foot off or he has to do something. He is desperate. The United States is hurting. You saw a Spec Ops, we saw a Spec Ops operation go south near Natanz. And we lost, I think, aircraft, an F-15, A-10 Warthog, Spec Ops, Hercules aircraft, and also a Reaper and Little Birds, and I mean it was so terrible. And I think they had deployed the 160th SOAR, the Special Operations Aviation Regiment, and it was a disaster. We lost something like $2 billion worth of aircraft lost. And the Pentagon CENTCOM is not telling us the casualties, whether people got killed or whether they had Band-Aid put on them, nothing. They're keeping a dead silence. They're trying to follow the Israeli model of a blackout on news. But they owe a duty of responsibility to inform the American people as to the casualties of this monumental, mistake.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More with PL De Silva and Rear Admiral Norman Hayes when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Get the 411 on 411. Saturday, April 11th. Join us at Victory Park in Pasadena for the Altadena Build Together Fair from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. For those impacted by the Eaton Canyon fire, if you've been asking, where do I start? How do I rebuild? Who can help? This is for you. We're bringing together the resources, the experts, and the support you need all in one place. Plus, music, food, and activities for the whole family. Visit actionaltadena.com. The Altadena Build Together Fair, because rebuilding starts together. From station to stage, LA Metro connects you to the artistic heart of Los Angeles. Celebrate this National Arts Month with Metro, exploring galleries, theaters, and cultural spaces across the city. Art isn't just where you end up, it's how you get there.
We're at Doolin's on Crenshaw. It's a special place where the neighborhood comes together. Got the fried chicken, the catfish, the candied yams, the mac and cheese. It's all delicious. I'm Isaac Bryan. I represent the Crenshaw District in the California State Legislature, and I'm supporting Tom Steyer for governor of California. California is under attack, and we need a fighter who's going to come in on day one and stand up for California values and push back. That person is Tom Steyer. Tom and I have been fighting together for the better part of a decade. Tom is the only candidate supported by Smart Justice because Tom has stood on the front lines of racial justice, economic justice, and true solidarity. Tom is the real deal. He's the only candidate in the race with a comprehensive plan to make the billionaires and the corporations pay their fair share so we can fund things like universal health care and education. He means what he says, and he does what we need. This is a moment when we've got to fight fire with fire, and I believe that fire is Tom Steyer.
Ad paid for by Steyer for Governor 2026.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 connecting you with services and solutions. The midterm elections are upon us. It is voting season once again. Common Cause's motto is fighting for the democracy we deserve. In service of that goal, Common Cause puts its state and national policy expertise, massive network of grassroots supporters, and nonpartisan approach into action to strengthen our democracy against the challenges we face today. They work at every level of government on priorities that impact each of our lives, like defending the right to vote, limiting big money's influence on our elections, holding public officials accountable, and more. Common Cause is a nonpartisan grassroots organization dedicated to upholding the core values of American democracy. They seek to empower all people to make their voices heard in the political process. This election may be the most important one ever. If you'd like to make a donation or volunteer in service to the Constitution, please visit commoncause.org. That's commoncause.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Progressive knows that for business owners, vacations hit different. But hey, at least you finally took a vacation. And look at that. You only answered 53 calls, 84 emails, onboarded one new hire, and covered for Chris while he's out on paternity leave, and you did it all from a kayak. Because you, my friend, know how to relax. All right, you may not know how to take a day off, but you do know both your personal and business auto insurance needs can be covered in one place with Progressive. So at least that's relaxing, right? Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states or situations.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. In our final segment, our very special guest, Rear Admiral Norman Hayes, retired, joins P.L. De Silva, our regular contributor, and I'm so grateful that both of them are still here with us. P.L., just before I ask the general a question about the $1.5 trillion military request that the President of the United States is making of the Congress and whether or not it makes us safe, there is some discontent taking place amongst our members of the armed services. 30 flag officers have refused Iran orders, with 12 having been fired, and the Secretary of Army having a pretty big dust-up, if you will, with Secretary Pete Hegseth. Can you share with us how our men and women, from your perspective, are coping with these illegal orders? I do know that Senator Kelly has also raised serious concerns about non-compliance.
So this is a serious problem which the Trump administration is not wanting the American public to know about, that there is discontent and a lack of support from senior officers, generals and admirals, 30 flag officers. And that's a big number. 12 of them were fired. And then when it came to the turn of the Secretary of the Army, he just basically had a massive fight with Pete Hegseth and refused to resign. And there shows the kind of pushback that the Trump administration is getting from senior officers in the military, as well as the lower ranks. I mean, you saw that the USS Gerald Ford is out of commission. There was a kind of a near mutiny on board, which nobody wants to talk about. The sailors basically stuffed the toilets with toilet rolls, and the toilets didn't function. 5,000 on board. And then there's this mysterious fire in the laundry room that went on for 30 hours. So we don't know the exact details, but that the biggest and most expensive and most modern aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald Ford, is out of commission. So go figure. There's lots of things like this happening. And I think that the Trump administration is straying into dangerous terrain.
Rear Admiral Hayes, I know that $1.5 trillion recommended by the President of the United States to the Congress, being one of the largest single annual commitments to military spending, I believe, in human history, given that the United States was already exceeding the numbers under previous budgets. I'm wondering if that kind of spending makes Americans more or less safe. And the reason I raise that question is the president says it will come at the expense of Medicare, Medicaid, and domestic spending programs. Rear Admiral?
Yeah. This is one of those things where I don't want to be able to get emotional about this. But I have a completely different perspective on military spending, having spent money, and I mean not hundreds of dollars, but tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars personally in the positions that I had. And we need to be able to get better, all right, in how much money that we put forward into our military. And it is important that we do that. We have to have reality come home and look at what our responsibilities are, first at home, then around the world. No one is going to attack the United States. All right? May I say that again? no one is going to attack the United States. Why? We're an island. All right. So nobody's going to come across the borders attacking us. You understand? We're an island. We are a 6-hour plane ride from Europe. We're a 12-hour or 10-hour plane ride from China. Actually, 12-hour plane ride from China. So nobody's going to have an amphibious attack against the United States. So we don't need all of the things we think we need. Okay? That's a fact. Nobody can, they can't dispute that. Everybody likes to have their new toys. Everybody wants to have the best jet. But let me tell you, the best jet in the world right now is the F-15. Do you know when the F-15 first flew? 1970s. Okay? That's when the F-15 first flew. And it is now still one of the top fighters in the freaking world. It ain't the F-35. The F-35 does other things. But if you want somebody to go out and shoot down other planes or to drop bombs or do it, that's the plane. It is extraordinary, to say the least. And it's been improved over the years. So what do we need this for? Are we fighting aliens? No, we aren't. We have to be able to reel in these things, continue to do the research for new things, all right? But we have to be able to get this under control. So the amount of money we're spending is not the amount of money we need to spend, and we need to look other places. And you have to look home first before you're looking at how much money I'm going to spend on defense. Because to be honest with you, there is no real ROI, return on investment, in military spending, right? And you have to really, if you want to look at it, ask anybody, what's your ROI on military spending? Nobody's going to attack the United States, all right? If China thought they could get away with it, they'd have done it already. If Russia thought it was in their best interest, they would have done it. They are not going to. And so we have to look at reality as opposed to some sort of dream. And when we get to that point, we get smarter, we get leaner, our forces will be much more powerful, and we will use them in ways in which we are able to go forth and make sure that our people are being taken care of, are being saved, are being kept safe.
Rear Admiral Hayes?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for your service to the American people and for keeping us safe in ways that we know and ways that we don't. We're so grateful for your service. P.L. De Silva, always honored to have you as our regular contributor. Looking forward to our conversation next week. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Rapper Offset remains hospitalized in Florida after being shot at a casino, but is in stable condition and expected to recover. Police arrested 2 people, including rapper Lil TJ, who has since bonded out and is facing charges unrelated to the shooting.
Did I shoot Offset? It's crazy.
The incident comes less than 4 years after Offset's Migos bandmate Takeoff was killed in a shooting in Houston. Black Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass says her focus for LAPD has shifted from growth to simply maintaining staffing levels. The department is at a 23-year low, and with budget constraints, she now aims to stop further declines while continuing recruitment efforts. And tickets for the Obama Presidential Center in Chicago go on sale May 6th ahead of its June 19th opening. Admission starts at $30 for adults with discounted pricing for children. The Obama Foundation is a nonprofit collaborator of the Black Information Network. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
NCAA women's basketball experts are not expecting much from UCLA next season. Despite winning the national championship on Sunday, UCLA is not in the preseason top 25 poll. Losing 8 seniors and not having any top 100 recruits are major factors why UCLA may have significant issues next season. On the other side of town, the USC women's basketball team is ranked number 6 in the preseason top 25. USC will have All-American Juju Watkins back. Plus, they have the nation's #1 recruiting class coming to campus in the fall. Texas Southern is looking for a new men's basketball coach. Johnny Jones is leaving the HBCU program to become an assistant coach at LSU under Will Wade. Jones was at Texas Southern for 8 years. He led Texas Southern to 4 appearances in the NCAA tournament and was 90-49 in the SWAC. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
When the story gets twisted, who's going to tell the truth? When they cut the microphones, who's still talking? When history gets rewritten, who remembers what really happened? We do. KBLA Talk 1580. Black media isn't just important right now, it's essential. Because when mainstream outlets move on, we stay. When the headlines ignore our communities, we don't. When decisions are being made that affect Black lives in our schools, our neighborhoods, our economy, KBLA is in the room. This is more than radio. This is a lifeline, a record, a rallying cry. Black stories, Black voices, Black power.
The heat is on.
On the air and in the culture. KBLA Talk 1580. Stay connected. Stay informed. Stay loud.
Stand up!
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Jesse Jackson, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. This hour, Raleigh, North Carolina, with a 9-hour drive ahead of me to New York to spend time with the Reverend Al Sharpton and the National Action Network's annual conference. But I had a wonderful time today on Capitol Hill here in Raleigh, North Carolina, with Patrick Curry, a prominent leader within the Omega Psi Phi fraternity and the Greater Raleigh Area National Panhellenic Council, serving as the financial secretary for the council's 2025-2026 executive board. He's a member of the Xi Mu Mu chapter and holds leadership roles in political action, voter registration, and education. The Greater Raleigh organization, he's the financial secretary from 2025 to 2026. And as a member of Xi Mu Mu, he is the past bossilus, vice bossilus, and assistant keeper of records and seals. In the 6th District Political Action Chair and active in voter registration and VRUM and GOTV activities. Patrick, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, my good brother. Happy to be on here.
I am so glad you're here. And Marcus Bass is the Executive Director of North Carolina Black Alliance and the Executive Director of the Advanced Carolina. Born and raised in Sampson County, Bass is the product of Clinton City Schools. Growing up, he says he was very active in the community and after college decided to return to his home to share his knowledge and experience with the students in Clinton. Hi, Brother Bass. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jackson. Good to be here.
Oh, please call me Jesse. Hey, Marcus, let me tell you something that I found fascinating. Yesterday, you and I were in the home of the governor of North Carolina, Josh Stein, and we were discussing the Leandro decision, which is something that many people in our community have been working on for nearly 3.5 decades. We have about 4 minutes, 5 minutes before we come forward, which is the language that I use for our break. Share with us, if you will, the history of Leandro, how that young man and his family moved from one part of the state of North Carolina to another, and what they confronted and found out.
Absolutely. So, and very interesting situation here where North Carolina has 100 counties. The majority of those counties are rural. As a matter of fact, when most people think of North Carolina, they think of Carolina basketball or UNC, Charlotte, that area. But there are more rural counties than there are urban. Well, Rob Leandro's family decided to move from a rural area, from an urban metropolitan part of North Carolina into rural eastern North Carolina. During that time period, though, they realized that there was a drastic difference in the quality of public education. The school systems in Hope County, North Carolina, where he moved to, were vastly different from Wake County or from Guilford County. And so Rob Leandro and his family ended up filing suit. And Rob was the plaintiff in that first Leandro case, in which the resident sued the state of North Carolina around the constitutional mandate to provide a sound basic education from every student, and realizing intimately that race had a large factor in that case even getting the notoriety that it received. The Supreme Court at the time in North Carolina ruled on the side of the Leandro family, saying that North Carolina is not meeting its constitutional mandate. That was 30 years ago. The court case involved restitution by the tune of millions of dollars, billions now if you include the 30-year gap, and North Carolina still is underfunding public schools. Well, last week, the newly formed radical right-wing Supreme Court decided to throw out the case altogether and allow the General Assembly to continue to funnel money away from public schools into charter schools with no accountability.
Now, I want to comment on that because Leandro was a white family.
Yes.
And they moved from an urban area to a rural area where large numbers of African Americans live.
Yes.
There's a certain quality of education that they expected in the urban area that they were leaving. And they ended up in rural areas with black folks, only to find out that our education systems were systematically different than the ones they had left.
Separate and unequal.
Separate and unequal. And the Leandro family filed a lawsuit. A white plaintiff filed a lawsuit saying, wait a minute now. We're used to an education system over here. We moved into this over here, and now we realize that systemically, black folk and poor folk in the state of North Carolina are being educated differently based on all kinds of schemes, taxes, where the companies are, all of that stuff differently. And they sued the state of North Carolina. The Supreme Court ruled that the state of North Carolina, to the tune of billions of dollars, needed to make rural schools in North Carolina whole by allowing them to become the same quality of schools that the Leandro family was used to before they moved into our neighborhood. Is that the short and skinny?
Absolutely. And this is 1994. This is not, 100 years ago. This is 1994.
So 32 years of fighting this fight, and a right-wing Supreme Court, this is why we have to vote, a right-wing Supreme Court, after the court ruled that the state legislature must appropriate billions of dollars to fix schools in black communities and Hispanic communities and poor working class white communities in the rural counties, need to spend billions of dollars to make those communities whole. The right-wing Supreme Court comes in 32 years later and throws out the entire decision.
Absolutely. It is no circumstance at all, or it is not lost on the voters in North Carolina that the General Assembly at the time was Democratic controlled in 1994. I just really want to make that clear because the blame goes on both sides. So a Democratic legislature failed to provide remedy for a court solution. Now, 30 years later, the Republicans are in control, are definitely not going to pay the money. And instead of following the court order, what they've done is they whitewashed the court. And so at one point in time, the court was 6-1 Democrat. Now, there are only 2 Democrats left, one being the lone black woman on the state Supreme Court. And it is under that pretense, with the Speaker of the Senate's son sitting on the court, did the court make the decision in collusion to decide to overthrow this case and not allow the state to remedy this solution in public schools.
When we come forward under the leadership of Patrick Curry, we're going to talk about what the Divine Nine was doing on Capitol Hill today here in Raleigh, North Carolina, to hold legislators accountable through their annual lobbying efforts to make wrongs right. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That fun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return, but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do? My refund, though. I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Can we just talk? You've heard me say it before, how we talk to one another matters. Earlier this year, we launched our first cohort, and I'm grateful to those who leaned in early and helped to shape the work. Now I'm inviting you to join me for a new live seminar, The Practice of Dialogue, Becoming a More Effective Communicator. This is a small group experience designed to help you strengthen how you communicate in your work, your relationships, and your everyday life. Space is limited to keep the experience personal and interactive. So if you're ready to take your communication to the next level, now is the time to focus on the skills that make conversations meaningful. The new 4-week cohort begins Monday, May 4th, and there's a nice discount for early bird registrants. Visit TavishTalks.com to learn more and reserve your place today. That's TavishTalks.com, because better conversations don't just happen, we practice them.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
We're listening to The Politics of Our Faith with Reverend Dr. Todd Yeary on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Todd Yeary is the principal of the Yeary Firm, a Maryland-based litigation and government relations firm, and also serves as senior pastor of the Douglas Memorial Community Church of Baltimore and affiliates. Dr. Yeary, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I think you're muted, Doc.
I had to find where I was with all of these windows open. So it's one of those days, man. It's we out here in these streets trying to fight the good fight. Good to be with you.
Dr. Yeary, I have an amazing series of guests that are joining us in this hour, and I appreciate all the work that you're doing. My classmate and frat brother, Patrick Curry, invited me along with the Divine Nine to the great state of North Carolina, where I had the opportunity and the privilege to participate in Legislative Day, where the Divine Nine went to state legislators, state representatives, had a reception yesterday at the governor's home. The support of Governor Josh Stein, the Attorney General, and at least one Supreme Court justice in the state of North Carolina, because their state Supreme Court justices are elected, understand the significance and the importance of the Divine Nine. I am so proud of my frat brother, Patrick Curry, for the leadership that he has shown and the organizing that he has done to make this day an annual event here in Raleigh, North Carolina. And Divine Nine organizations in every state in the union could learn a lot from what Pat Curry's leadership is showing and doing in the state of Illinois that should spread across this country like wildfire. And I'm also glad that Marcus Bass is joining us, who was sharing with us a critical piece of critical decision made by the North Carolina Supreme Court that goes to the heart of something you and I have been fighting for decades, which is the constitutional right, Dr. Yeary, to a public education of equal high quality. That if we can have the right to a gun in the Constitution, certainly we can have the right to have parents who can sue local school districts and school systems, regardless of the funding formulas, to demand that if in a state or even between states there is a better performing school, that the state legislatures themselves need to step up and make our children's schools like those schools. If they're teaching AI over there, then teach AI over here. If they're giving away laptops over there, then give away laptops over here. If they've got basketball and football and swimming coaches and skiing coaches and soccer coaches over there, then make sure they have them over here so that our children can participate in the same level of education. And I'm particularly, again, honored that Patrick Curry has shown tremendous leadership here in the state of North Carolina to organize what one might argue, at least when I was growing up, they were far more a social group, a lot of our fraternities and sororities. But Patrick Curry and the North Carolina Divine Nine understand the significance of political power. Let me bring Patrick Curry forward, Reverend Yeary. I just wanted to bring you up to date on where we were in the conversation. Patrick, tell us about the Divine Nine's legislative efforts here in North Carolina.
Absolutely. And thank you for having us on. And I'd be remiss to, if not to mention, that it's a leadership and a collaboration with the Black Alliance and the Divine Nine organizations have come together. This year was the 11th year, and maybe the first year that we had all nine actively participating. And it is because of what we've done in previous years and the planning that takes place. It's a lot. It's a lot of planning, a lot of hoping and wishing, a lot of begging to get people to come on, and me asking you to come on and participate. And we're indebted to you for participating this year. You brought the fire like you brought the fire 40 years ago on the campus of North Carolina A&T and continue to do so through your career. But we have to have national support, national leaders, as well as our local leaders. And the importance of it is, like you said, and I got to comment, right? During my first political forum that I pulled together with the mayors of Raleigh in the last race. We did this in the frat house. All five candidates came, and we put it on. I was the moderator. We asked the questions. We asked the questions that we wanted to hear. This is what Legislative Day is all about. And the comments that I got from participants was, we know you guys throw great parties. We didn't know you did this. Well, this civic action is who we are really about. And it's all nine of the, we have different colors, we have different constitutions, but we have the same, the very same scope of action. We are for life. We are not just a college organization, as you well know. And we need to be more out front in engaging candidates, in engaging the legislatures, and putting our issues on Front Street. And that's what Divine Nine Legislative Day is all about. It is a powerful thing, and Brother Bass will tell you that legislators in North Carolina run from us. The ones that don't want to hear from us, the ones that are not doing those things that we need them to do. But when we show up when we show up in our dynamic colors, when we show up, they take notice. And so it's such an important event that's held each year. And I'm just ecstatic to be a small part of it, and ecstatic that I was able to play a little larger role this year by bringing you in.
I'm particularly honored and privileged. Dr. Yuri, a couple of issues we need to mix up a little bit here. I believe Dr. Yuri's in A Phi A. Am I right about that, Dr. Yuri?
I'm glad you raised the point. It's good to be in the family, but since I am a man of the cloth, and it sounds like we started with confession that you're doing good work, but there are just some things in our background that we wish we could undo. I have oil in my pocket. I will put some oil out so that we'll still get you in, because Jesus said, I am Alpha, and then his voice kind of trailed off. He didn't get the rest of the sentence out. But listen, Brother Curry is right. The commitment in terms of the Divine Nine at the core of our individual and collective identities is this commitment to our people and our communities. And that's what I think should be the thing that gets lifted up. Of course, many people's first encounter with fraternities and sororities is within the social context. If they're on college campuses at the undergraduate level, they know the step shows, they know the parties. They don't often know the service, and they don't know the commitment that extends beyond what is often that 4 or 5 year. If you were me back in the day, it was a little more extended in terms of my tenure, but eventually I got out of school, much to the appreciation of my mama. But the work that we have to do today, something that Brother Curry said, is that we try to engage the legislators, but then they run when they see us coming. Because what makes legislators nervous is organized action, where there's going to be a demand and an expectation. Much as your father taught us over the years, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you demand. And so in coming forward, they know there's going to be an ask on the table. But I do think what this work does at the state level, as we're moving to a national conversation about a constitutional right to an education, is that many times that fight first happens under state constitutions, right? That state constitutions often have some of kind of the preliminary language that we're looking for. And since education, like voting, is the purview of the states with some government investment from the money side, the first challenge is to be able to organize and challenge state legislators who are not accustomed to folks being in their face, in the hearing rooms, in their district offices, making demands for not just for the language, but the enforcement that should go with it. And so as we're having this conversation, it's not either or, it really is both and. Until we get the national constitutional change, we've got to fight this battle like we saw during the civil rights movement, state by state, issue by issue, leaning on not only the leadership of Brother Curry and colleagues in the Divine Nine, but sometimes having to rely on them to be the plaintiffs in the cases that we need to raise, because we've got to get back to the test case model, like Ed Bloom is doing, challenging affirmative action under all of these different organizational names and finding plaintiffs to be the test cases. We've got to get back to countering that challenge by forcing the law to be tested and affirmed as it has been written, so that we don't find ourselves on the outside looking in.
On the question of lobbying, Dr. Yuri, and of course, Brother Bass, Raleigh is so unique because there's a significant African-American population in Raleigh, and the state capital's here. But, in Illinois, Negroes live in Chicago, man. They live in, some little towns like Peoria, Joliet, Kankakee. Springfield is way down south, where it takes forever to get there to lobby. I mean, most Negroes live in San Francisco. They live in Los Angeles. Their community, Crenshaw. We live in Los Angeles in certain communities. Sacramento is kind of different because the lobbying efforts for the state legislature are over there. And so, we have these dynamics where, unlike what they were able to accomplish here in Raleigh, where, hundreds of people were there today in the name of the organization with an agenda to push the legislature and hold them accountable. And I found that particularly fascinating because I attend a lot of events, but I've never seen a group better organized on the state level than I have seen here in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I really want to go for just a moment back to Marcus, Dr. Yuri, on this Leandro decision, because here we have, if it had been a black plaintiff, this decision would have been decided a long time ago, probably by the Democrats, and it might not have been in our advantage there either, by the way, if the plaintiff were black. But the plaintiff left an urban area as a white person, brought the suit in these disparate communities where they were now located because they saw something that people who live there can't see, that the systems themselves were separate and unequal. And it dragged on for 30 years, including court decisions that commanded the legislature in Raleigh, North Carolina, to fork over billions to create equal high quality schools, and they just never got around to it. Marcus, am I speaking out of turn here, or is that exactly what happened?
No, you're absolutely right. There have been 30 years of inaction, and there have been several different iterations of the Leandro case, which have been met by inaction. I mentioned Leandro 1 came in 1997, and it was ruled upon in 2004. That's when the courts really went back and looked at the case and put a dollar amount to determine exactly how much money the state owed these rural school districts. And even after that, they added an additional set of plaintiffs in what they call a Leandro 2, which funding was ordered again for a second and third time. So from 1994 all the way to 2022, there have been rulings after rulings that have tried to force the hand of the General Assembly. And in return, what the General Assembly has done is changed the makeup of the Supreme Court, instituted new laws to make it to where they don't have to be responsible or accountable to the people. And at the end of the day, are funneling millions, if not billions of dollars to these private corporate schools that have no accountability and are really just, in some ways, slush funds for some of their larger donors and some of their larger constituent counties in which they serve. And I'll say this, I believe completely that families should have the right to choose. But what I don't think you should choose to do is move our tax dollars away from our school base, because we know historically and systemically, our children have been better educated when we have all of the resources that public schools have to offer.
Dr. Yuri, I know that we're going to be coming forward in just a moment, and this is our 6-minute break on our show. North Carolina has issued the people of North Carolina a bad check. It has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the great vault of opportunity, in light of what Brother Marcus just said, is bankrupt. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, more analysis from Dr. Todd Yuri. Marcus is our guest on this program, as well as my good friend and frat brother Patrick, joining us on this special edition of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's lobbying day here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we're learning a lot about the process. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says Iran must keep the Strait of Hormuz open, calling reports of a closure false and stressing that peace talks will continue as long as it remains open.
It has been relayed to him privately that is what's taking place, and these reports publicly are false.
She also pushed back on reports about a proposed Iranian peace plan. A familiar face at North Carolina A&T is stepping down. Earl Hilton is leaving his role as athletic director after 15 years. During his tenure, the Aggies won 4 Black college football national championships, and he was named Under Armour Athletic Director of the Year in 2019. And rapper Lil TJ is accused of starting a fight with rapper Offset that led to gunfire, leaving Offset with a non-life-threatening leg injury. Police say video shows the lead up to the incident. Lil TJ denies the claims and is charged with disorderly conduct. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the tackle?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
NCAA women's basketball experts are not expecting much from UCLA next season. Despite winning the national championship on Sunday, UCLA is not in the preseason top 25 poll. Losing 8 seniors and not having any top 100 recruits are major factors why UCLA may have significant issues next season. On the other side of town, the USC women's basketball team is ranked number 6 in the preseason top 25. USC will have All-American Juju Watkins back. Plus, they have the nation's number 1 recruiting class coming to campus in the fall. Texas Southern is looking for a new men's basketball coach. Johnny Jones is leaving the HBCU program to become an assistant coach at LSU under Will Wade. Jones was at Texas Southern for 8 years. He led Texas Southern to 4 appearances in the NCAA tournament and was 90-49 in the SWAC. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Hey, LA, tax money is our money. Let's decide how to spend it together. We deserve investments that actually make our neighborhoods safe, like affordable housing, good jobs, fire prevention and protection, and community support programs. How can we make that happen? Join Black Lives Matter Los Angeles and the Movement for Black Lives for the People's Budget Assembly on April 16th. Together, we'll discuss solutions to problems we're facing and make a plan with fellow Angelinos for a city that works for the people. There'll be food, childcare, and great conversation. It's time to demand a budget that puts the people first. Join us on April 16th at 7 p.m. at BLMLA's Center for Black Power and make your voice heard before the Assembly through the People's Budget Survey. Register today at peoplesbudgetla.com. We'll see you there.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel. Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That fun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return, but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do? My refund, though. I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Paid for by government. The 1986 to 2021 United States Silver Eagle, the first ever U.S. silver dollar minted in 99.9% pure silver and is the best-selling coin in the world. These original and historic silver dollars have ceased production forever. They will never be minted again. For a limited time only, full pound bags of original U.S. government-struck silver dollars are being released to the public. You can own a full pound of original U.S. silver dollar coins featuring Lady Liberty and the heraldic eagle, never to be struck again. Guaranteed. Call now to secure original United States Silver Eagles by the pound. The first U.S. silver dollars ever to be struck in 99.9% pure silver. Plus, receive a free bonus, an American Collector's Pack valued at over $40 and free shipping with every order. Call 1-800-560-6468 now. to secure your full pound bag of United States Silver Eagle coins before they are gone. That's 1-800-560-6468.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and the politics of our faith with Reverend Dr. S. Todd Eury. Our very special guest today, Marcus Bass and Patrick Curry, are joining us from North Carolina, where I had the privilege of speaking today at their legislative conference. Gentlemen, welcome forward. Dr. Eury, I do have a question for you because I'm really interested in your assessment of this particular case, the Leandro case. But I do think that Leandro gives us a roadmap forward. Here is a white plaintiff who wasn't an African-American plaintiff, but a white plaintiff who saw the difference between the school districts that the child was initially in and the school district that they suddenly found themselves in for whatever reason, job, priorities, having to move, for whatever. They found the difference. And for 3.5 decades, the state entertained it. I'm thinking that similar lawsuits should be filed in other states around this question, but because of the dynamic of race, Dr. Eury, they might have to come from plaintiffs that don't look like us. Dr. Eury?
Well, there are a couple of things about the tactic, right? How do we approach getting judicial review? First, we have to have a law that establishes a right. The Constitution in North Carolina is clear. The people have a right to the privilege of education, and it is the duty of the state to guard and maintain that right. And that's in Article 1 of the North Carolina Constitution. Based on that, then, whether it's by race, harder to argue these days, or by economic circumstance and consequence, here's what we know. Black people make less than white people, wherever they are. Black people with an education tend to make less, depending on where they live, than whites that have less education. So if it becomes an economic argument as the primary basis, with the issue of race kind of reinforcing that distinction, then really what you have is kind of a replay of the separate but equal argument that now, instead of making race the primary basis, it could be a supporting basis, but the real issue is economic disparity. The economic disparity is like we say in public health. Your zip code should not determine what your life expectancy is, but we know that to actually be the case across America. So when we think about what the courts are telling us, when we think about what the elected officials are now doing in terms of eroding our confidence in the jurisprudence that comes from the civil rights era, we've got to be very, very intentional, even if we have to get, all right, so if it's an economic issue, get black and white plaintiffs, make the optics of the injustice harder to pass, because if it's just black plaintiffs, sometimes you get the notion that obviously the pain isn't that bad. Carbon monoxide is odorless, colorless, tasteless, and if the only people getting sleepy are black folk, then white folk aren't all that concerned. And so we've got to change not only the model and the method, but we have to also change a bit of the strategy to make sure we're not the only ones. Create as many conflicts for the court to tell us no as we possibly can, and then argue the strength of where the law as it is either needs to be enforced or needs to be strengthened to make sure we don't continue to have these issues.
Patrick, there were state representatives who participated in this conference today. There were judges, there were lawyers, Black professionals, all who are part of the Divine Nine, and also North Carolinians who understood the details of a case like Leandro. And I might add that you yourself are a professional as well. That also is one of the reasons I believe that they're running from you all when you all show up on legislative day and throughout the year. I think they're afraid of our truth and our witness.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that. They have representatives in their midst that are a part of the Divine Nine. A former governor, Roy Cooper, had his, part of his cabinet were members of the Divine Nine. Today, after you left, Governor Josh Stein showed up and he talked about members of his team that are part of the Divine Nine. So they know who we are. They know that we're not just Black college educated individuals, that we are activists, that we know civics, that we will get involved. So they absolutely do know who they're dealing with. That's one of the things we tell in the district, our brothers, is to show up at meetings wearing your colors. You don't have to say anything. Just show up and let them start saying, who are those guys? Did they go to ECU? What club are they a part of? They start asking questions when they see that and they see our action. And so, yes, I absolutely believe what you're saying is true. It's absolutely true. And now, even maybe more scarier for them, we're actively getting our college students involved. We had a collegiate panel today, and we've had that in the past, but we're actively reaching out to those that haven't even graduated yet, that are in our Divine Nine organizations, to get them involved. Back in the day, that's who started all this stuff. That's who started all this good trouble getting in, were the young folks, and we recognize that. And we want to get them energized as well, and they see that.
Marcus, I heard today that as many as 850,000 African Americans in the state of North Carolina did not vote in the last election. 850,000 people. One Supreme Court justice candidate that I believe the Divine Nine and others of you were supporting in the past election lost the opportunity to serve on the North Carolina Supreme Court by 400 votes. Marcus, a tragedy.
Correct. And she was also a member of the Divine Nine, a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Justice Sherry Beasley, who made it all the way to Chief Justice. When we think about 400 votes, and we think about the margins in which elections are being determined now because of racist voter intimidation, because of legislation that is suppressing the vote, we have to make sure that we do not deny ourselves the opportunity to make a difference, because every single vote counts. And I'll tell you what, the election immediately after that for state Supreme Court, the candidate on the Democratic Party side, Allison Riggs, won her election by 700 votes. And it was only after the election was canvassed that they identified that some of those votes would have been thrown out if there wasn't proper advocacy behind the scenes. And so we have to, and I also may add that the Democratic Party got behind that push to reclaim those voters. They didn't get behind Chief Justice Sherry Beasley. And so we have to have a Divine Nine that is focused on the fight, that is prepared at every single level, from litigation to legislation to advocacy in the streets, because we stand in the gap, not just for individuals that don't see themselves inside of the Democratic establishment or the Republican establishment. We have to work around the clock even after the election is over. And so these razor thin margins, as a matter of fact, I mentioned Phil Berger earlier, the Speaker of the Senate, who orchestrated a lot of these horrible bills that we're seeing passed in North Carolina. He just lost his election by less than 24 votes. Immediately the night of the election, he lost by 2, and then that margin widened closer to canvas. And so North Carolina is a battleground. Every single year is an election year that is critical, and every single year we can't take a single election off.
Marcus Bass, thank you for being on my show today.
Thank you for having me.
Patrick Curry, thank you for being on the show today.
I appreciate you having me, and appreciate you speaking today.
When we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580, much to discuss with Dr. Todd Yeary in our final segment and his word of hope. We got to talk about organizing and what it's going to take to inspire our people to vote in the midterms on a scale that we haven't seen to protect our interest. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580 with Dr. S. Todd Yeary.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait. And don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is connecting you with services and solutions. Domestic violence and family violence is when someone in an intimate or family relationship tries to gain or maintain power and control over another through a wide range of abusive behaviors. Every single act may amount to abuse. Abuse can take on various forms: psychological and emotional, physical and economic, and sexual abuse. The Genesee Center Incorporated is a nationally recognized nonprofit domestic violence prevention and intervention organization, housing women and children from 30 days up to 2 years through emergency and transitional shelters. The Genesee Center also provides support services like mental health counseling, life skills classes, computer training, job referrals, after-school programs for children, field trips, tutoring, and comprehensive direct legal services. If you need help or you'd like to donate or volunteer, call the Genesee Hotline, 1-800-479-7328. That's 1-800-479-7328, or visit Genesee.org. Everyone has the right to be safe. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580, the politics of our faith, with Dr. S. Todd Yeary. S. Todd Yeary is our very special contributor on these thought-provoking Thursdays and Wealthy Wednesdays. Dr. Yeary, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Always good to be with you. I didn't know I was going to get cornered by a mini meeting of the Qs. If I'd known that, I'd probably brought some folks to sit with me so we could have a balanced conversation. But I'm just saying.
Dr. Yeary, thank you for your patience with us. Hey, Dr. Yeary, let me, I wanted to leave you this segment to opine on whatever the subject matter is, but I am concerned in light of something that came up in the last conversation about Black voter participation and our losing critical elections by the margin. I mean, the gross margin. 800,000 people didn't vote who are African American in the state, by the gross margin of just a few hundred votes, a few percentage points, because of our non-participation. What's it going to take, Dr. Yeary?
Well, I think at some level I hear our big sister Barbara Arnwine's voice, that it's not just the number, it's how do you get to that number. A lot of that is placing intentional impediments in the way to obstruct access to the ballot. That's part of the challenge. We move voting sites. We impose spurious rules that say you have to have this ID, not that ID. What do we see in Texas? At the primary, they created confusion about if you were a Democrat, you voted here. If you were a Republican, you voted there. There was no resolution, if you got confused in the process. So part of that is, we got to have the aggregate number, but we have to then disaggregate the numbers to find out how much of that is due to bad implementation of existing law, impediments that have been imposed by new law, and then the lack of access to organization. I don't think it is just take the whole number and say there's one answer to that. We now have the question, 800,000 people, Black people didn't vote. The question now is why? What are those answers? And then what then becomes the strategic response for each of those answers so that we have a comprehensive response. And I'll just go back to the conversation we just had with our brothers, right? Quite honestly, if we just think about North Carolina, Roy Cooper becomes governor after he's attorney general in North Carolina. Same for Josh Stein. Part of this move in the progression is not just to go after the legislature. Sometimes we have to get the chief law enforcement officer to enforce the law at the state level, much like we would expect the chief law enforcement officer, the attorney general, to do at the federal level. And so I think having those conversations, right, when the governor shows, don't show up without the AG, although he's an independently elected state officer. But certainly let's have a conversation. These are the issues that are affecting us. You're the chief law enforcement officer. Our rights are enshrined and embedded in the law. What say ye about what the state's going to do to make sure we have equal protection under the law and not this kind of distinct mistreatment, maltreatment, simply because of who we are, where we live, all of those other categories that they come in.
Dr. Year, I began the program by saying that we're still here in large measure because yesterday at 8 p.m. we were promised the end of civilization, a completely unhinged president. And I feel in my spirit that there was a traumatic event for people around the country, a traumatic event for people around the world to hear a president use language like the erasure of a civilization by 8 p.m. with certain deadlines. Can you provide us a word of hope out of the morass that is the chaos and the confusion that the nation has experienced at this hour?
Yeah, and following kind of some of the cues in the chat from our tremendous producer, our EP, who keeps us on task, whether it's at the federal level or state, right? The accountability of those who are in leadership can only come from the people writ large. When we hear these things, it shouldn't be that we just wait to see what the counter response might be from other electeds. We have to speak to that moment. The Pope spoke to the moment. The first elected Pope from the Americas said that those words were actually improper, right? When you speak back to that, right now, you've got the president's self-interest. Right now, we've got 2 more weeks of a ceasefire. Amazingly, that came up somewhere. I wonder why. And so we've got to do more of that holding accountable. And we don't all have to get to wherever the meeting is. We've got technology. We've got the ability to share the message. Here's the word of hope, right? Get in the fight where you are. Don't feel like you can't fight simply because you think the battle is going somewhere else. The battle is all around us. The realities and the challenges that we deal with on a daily basis confront us on a daily basis. And so the embarrassment we have now, the affront that we feel now, is not going to go away tonight. Short of there being some divine intervention, we're still going to be confronted with the difficulties of what this kind of leadership actually speaks to. But here's the word of hope. We have an assignment. The assignment comes from the wisdom writer in the Hebrew scriptures in the Old Testament, that we have to speak up for those who can't speak for themselves. We have to speak for the rights of all who are destitute, and we have to speak up and judge fairly to defend the rights of the poor and the needy. That is the assignment. And then the prophet raises the reason. Woe to those who make unjust laws, to those who issue oppressive decrees and deprive the poor of their rights and withhold justice from the oppressed. This is what we need. The word of hope is we're on an assignment. And because we're on an assignment, we're not going to get distracted. We're not going to be deterred. We're going to be organized, because if God has given us the assignment, the presence of God will be with us until the assignment is fulfilled.
Love you, Dr. Yuri. Looking forward to seeing you at the National Action Network conference. I have a 9-hour drive in front of me. Look forward to seeing you there soon.
Follow the speed limit. Don't talk to the police.
More on KBLA Talk 1580. Keep us in your prayers. We have a 9-hour drive. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. signing off until tomorrow from New York. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.